Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's International Day of Education, and right now we're addressing out-of-school children in Nigeria. So, of course, on this day, attention is drawn to the millions of children worldwide who remain out of school, despite the crucial role education plays in societal development and equality. Poverty, conflict, and systemic barriers are key factors to contributing to these issues, especially in marginalized communities. These challenges prevent many children from accessing education, limiting their opportunities for personal and societal growth. Urgent action is needed from government, organizations, and communities to ensure every child has access to quality education. And this includes policy reforms, increased funding, and inclusive educational initiatives that can break down the barriers keeping children out of school. Now, joining us this morning is Betty Abah. She's the founder of CEE-Hope Women and Children's Rights, and also an advocate. Good morning, Ma. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. My pleasure to be here again.
Yes, lovely to have you. I know we had this conversation last year. Here we are again, International Day of Education. So just walk us through, in your opinion, between last year and this year, what are some significant changes that have been made when it comes to out-of-school children in Nigeria?
I would say that not much change has been made. Nigeria has been embarrassingly been in the picture, the global picture, as having the highest number of out-of-school children for over a decade, every single year for over a decade. And there is no sense of urgency by the government. There is nothing in the government's body language to show that they are interested in remedying the situation and changing the narrative on the global space, if for nothing else but for their own reputation. Just around December, when the budget was presented to the National Assembly, the budget for education in Nigeria was just around 6-7% of the annual budgetary allocation. And UNICEF's specification or recommendation, the United Nations recommendation, is that budgetary allocation for education should be between 15 to 20%. And look at the country that has that embarrassing number of out-of-school children, still budgeting 7% of their annual budget to education. And even then, there's still the issue of accountability. No one knows how this will be spent. Last time we saw the issue of school feeding program, and many of the schools that were said to have been enjoying this program were not enjoying. The money was just distributed to political, for people that are into political patronage, community chiefs and all of that. I've worked in out of Lagos communities, marginalized communities, informal community for over about 12 years, and I've not seen a single school in any of those communities that enjoy that program to encourage children's retention in school by providing a breakfast for them or lunch every day. And so there is nothing in the body language of the people that govern us to show that they are serious in remedying the situation. And it's so unfortunate because when children are not educated, when the younger generation are not empowered, especially educationally, especially in skills, digital skills, relevant skills, then there is no future for that country. Like Nelson Mandela would say, the way we treat our children, the young people of any society, goes to show the soul of that society, goes to show the attitude, the proclivity of that entire society. So we are not concerned about young people. Look at the people that are in the political sphere. They are mostly aged people, people that are aging or aged and all of that. And so there's a lot that can be done. And I'm really happy that a day is provided for us to, that provides this day is a platform for us to call out the politicians, the policymakers, and everyone in whose hand the destiny of this country is, especially with regards to the young
for that. So, of course, like you've said, Nigeria, we have the highest number of out-of-school children, which is quite embarrassing in those words. Embarrassing because we cannot be having our annual budgets of just about 6 to 7% for education when we know that we have a need, a proper need for this. But walk us through this. For instance, we're not addressing it. What are the consequences if this is not being addressed as swiftly as possible, because this is another year we're still having the same conversation again, talking about out of school children, still in the same position that we've been in the past decade. If this is not addressed as swiftly as possible, at least maybe by next year and then next couple of months, what are some things that we might see in the future for Nigeria?
I think it will just increase the level of poverty, because education is a poverty cycle breaker. In fact, it's so interesting that in a family, one person can break the cycle of poverty.
Yeah.
In a community, family, in a community, in a generation, and in the entire society. Education is such a transformative force. And so when you want to stop poverty in rural communities, we want to stop young people from being desperate and going through the desert and dying on the way in order to run away from poverty and all of that, you have to ensure adequate and adequately funded education system, a system that is also accountable and that the people can feel the impacts. And of course, the issue of fundamentalism. You see what's happening up north. It has drawn the country behind by like 200 years. It's not just the north. People from the north are migrating to other parts of the country, and the poverty is increasing. People can no longer go to their farms. And it's part of the reason why there's a food security issue in Nigeria, because of fundamentalism. When people are not educated and then they're exposed to fundamentalism, they have no alternative views. They believe that if they kill someone, they are doing God a duty, and then they go ahead and do that. They destabilize our entire system. They cause a major widespread issue with internally displaced persons, and then destruction of facilities. The system can just not grow where there is fundamentalism. And the solution, the antidote to fundamentalism is just education. It enlightens you and opens your eye to see other alternatives, to see the world from a wider spectrum. And so education is extremely, extremely important if a country wants to grow, even if for the reason of self-preservation, because the leaders are not safe, their own children are not safe, as long as the children of the poor are not educated. And so it's a major, major issue that has to be addressed. It's not just for the good of the populace, even for the leaders. Many people in the north at the height of Boko Haram had to run away because they were in danger. And these are children that they should have educated long ago. But they left them, they preserved them in poverty, in illiteracy, so they could be used for their own political, as political tools to conquer the country and all of that for their own selfish reasons. Majority of those political leaders had to flee their homes at the height of Boko Haram in the north. That is one of the fallouts of not educating the children of a society.
Oh, okay, thank you. So, of course, knowing all of this, it cannot be overemphasized how beneficial education is for our kids, because the people who are going into criminal activities today, it's because most of them are being redundant. They probably did not go to school. They're probably not utilizing all of the things that they have inside them, all of their passions, and of course, they do anything that comes, and if somebody wants to recruit them, they are vulnerable at that. But knowing how crucial this is right now, isn't the government supposed to be prioritizing education? And is there a point where we can even see free education for our kids, especially maybe to, what would I say now, maybe like a certain age, maybe till secondary school or something, but free and compulsory education? Do you think it's going to be something that could happen in Nigeria and would be sustainable? So it's not even a program that is coming up, but something that would be sustainable for years to come.
Thank you very much, and thank you for bringing in the general issue of the rise in crime rates.
Yes.
Apart from fundamentalism, as direct fallout of illiteracy. Yes, I think that we need to make more noise. We need to hold these people accountable, and not just on an annual day like this, but consistently, because we are all in a dire situation. Our future is really threatened. Imagine Nigeria being among the poorest countries of the world, not just among the least educated countries, but among the poorest countries, especially. We're in the same league with Libya, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Syria, countries that are at war
War-torn.
or have been at war, currently getting at war, war-torn countries, Sudan, because of the lack of political will, the lack of honesty, the lack of interest in the future of its own people by the people that have led us so far. Looking at out-of-school children, I'm so appalled that Lagos State government, which has the highest concentration of children right now in the country, who has tried in the past with the its program of no one left behind and all of that. You beg program trying to ensure that people are in school. I thought that it was much more than the political pronouncement. Now, thousands and thousands and thousands of children are out of school in Lagos. Of course, because of the economic situation. Public schools are supposed to be free, but in Lagos right now, schools are not free. I just got to know that many of our children in the Oregon, Okpebi area of Lagos, because we work also with informal communities there, apart from Makoko and the rest. Many of them have not been in school for 2-3 terms now, because the Oregon High School and some of the public schools around there are insisting that the children must pay 75,000 naira before they get into school. We tried to see if we could pay 50% of the money for now. They refused. The school administration's intention or work should not be about making money. It should be about ensuring that children have sex education, even if it means the school paying for those children. I mean, people ask of the schools are not concerned. In the past, the schools used to go to the homes to arrest the parents for not sending their children to school. Punishing them and all of that, dragging the children to school. Now the schools are shutting their doors all over Lagos against children, especially many of the children have been displaced or uprooted from the north and are internally displaced and in Lagos seeking education. Many of them can no longer get back to school.
All right. Okay. So So quickly,
so it's something that needs attention. Yes.
Yeah. So quickly, what are some policies or programs that you would want to see that needs to be initiated right now to be able to tackle this issue? Because we cannot be here year in, year out saying we have the highest number of out-of-school children. We know that it's International Day of Education. If you were to put your word out, what are some things that you want to see right now?
I think quickly, I have 3 points. Okay. One of them is that governments at every level, even beyond Lagos, should make sure schools are free. Yes. Primary, secondary schools, especially. And they're actually, because when you say schools are free, and then you bring all kinds of levies, it's no longer free. So schools should be free indeed.
Yeah.
Not just in the written form, it should be free indeed. Secondly, let's bring back the school feeding program. Because many of these children that are out of school have a fundamental issue with hunger. And you can lure them back to school and in that process, empower them. Thirdly, the issue that is not talked about much of the time, period poverty. Schools in Kenya, in Uganda, and I think part of Ghana are providing free sanitary pads to girls in school. Because if you look at the statistics of about 11 million children that are out of school in Nigeria, 60% of them are girls. And many of them, I can tell you, teenage girls, who cannot afford to buy sanitary products every month. And so many of them fall by the way out of school. It is a reality that people don't talk about because of period stigma, period taboo, and the entire silence against a period. So we must deal with period poverty politically, strategically, by ensuring that government activates a policy of free distribution of sanitary products to schools across Nigeria, so that girls can be in school, they can stay in school, and they can be empowered educationally. And we all know the power of an empowered girl.
Yes.
It's extremely transformational. I'm an example of an empowered girl, and I say it all the time. We have to be strategic, we have to be deliberate in dealing with the issues to ensure that children are in school, and we'll be better for it at the end of the day.
Yes, that's the prayer. That's definitely what we want. We want to see such transformation in Nigeria, and hopefully we'll not be recording the highest of out-of-school children. Our girls will be empowered, our boys will be empowered, and of course, because these are the leaders of tomorrow, so we're already putting them in that way to ensure that we have a better Nigeria and future to come. Thank you so much, Ma, for coming. Betty, it's been a pleasure having you. Always a pleasure having you on our show. And thank you for all the work that you do. We appreciate you. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you very much. appreciate. Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye. We're speaking with
You
Betty
too.
Abah. She's a founder, CEE-Hope, and she's a women and children's rights advocate. We've just been looking at, addressing out-of-school children in Nigeria, especially because it's International Day of Education today. All right, that's it for the show. Thank you so much for having the breakfast with me. My name is Rume Paulson. I'll see you again on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Good morning.